Today you could see factoring and solving trinomials. So when we did binomials, it's on the board. I moved them over there because I ran out of room. So there were 3 steps for solving, 3 steps for factoring, 4 steps for solving. Today we have 1 extra step. So step 3, we didn't do on Monday. But if you look at it, you did it in math too. It's the X game. You guys did that in math too. So you've done that step, but we haven't done it in this class. So it's really not a new step. Okay, so trinomials, 3 terms. Instead of 2 terms, we're going to see things with 3 terms. Okay? All right, so let's go right ahead to example number 1, 1A. Okay? Okay, so this is a trinomial. Today, they're all going to be trinomials. Tomorrow on your practice, they will all be trinomials. Okay? But when we're taking tests and quizzes, they're going to be mixed. So it's important to know what the difference is between a binomial and a trinomial. Okay? It's pretty easy, but if you can tell, because if it's a trinomial and you try to use those steps on the board, it won't work. Or if it's a binomial and you try to use these steps, some of them will work, but like you can't do step 3 with a binomial. So just be careful with that. Okay? Okay, so trinomial. So our first step, is the trinomial in standard form? Means, is it in descending order? Do the powers go from big power to littlest power? Yes, done, right? Step 1's done. Step 2, GCF. GCF, is there something I can divide 2, -9, and 7 by to make it smaller? No. All right, besides 1, right? And 7 doesn't have an x, so I can't divide that. So the GCF is 1. Sometimes it happens. So once you do that, we're going to do something we did last chapter, A, B, and C, because it's in standard form, right? Standard form means it has an A, has a B, has a C. Okay? Because we're going to need to know that for step 3. Okay, so for this one, what is A, what is B, and what is C? 2, right? 2 is A. What is B? -9, good. And C is 7, right? Done that before. Okay, so step 1 and step 2 are done. We didn't really need to do anything. That won't always be the case, okay? Sometimes you don't need to do anything, sometimes you need to. On the rest of them, we're going to need to do some things with those steps, but we lucked out on this one. So the next step is this guy. I know you guys have done this before because I think all of our Math 2 teachers in the district, even if you were at a different school last year, use the X for factoring, okay? So you guys are familiar with that, okay? So just a reminder, what goes on top is a little dot. What goes on bottom is a plus. What does the dot mean? Multiply. What does the plus mean? Plus, add, addition, right? Okay, so how do we do this? The top, you go A times C. Okay, so A was 2, C is 7. 14, right? Positive 14 goes on top. The bottom with the plus, only B goes down there. Only B, you don't have to multiply it with anything. Whatever B is, it just goes down there. So -9. So now you play the X game. So the X game says, what multiplies to be 14? What 2 numbers multiply to be 14, but at the same time when I add them, also make -9? So it happens, right? Some of you guys know. Some of you guys, if you guys know, just write it down. But if you don't, let's say we don't know. Let's say we don't know. This is what I do. I make a little table. What are the things? There's not a lot of things that multiply to be 14. 14 times 1, right? And 2 times 7, right? Okay, so I know those are both going to multiply to make the top guy, right? Now when I add them, 14 plus 1, 2 plus 7, do any of them make -9? No. But I can tweak it, right? Some of you guys are going to say I could tweak it. To make -14, can I do this? Make negatives, right? Negative times a negative makes a positive. Negative times a negative makes a positive. Now one of those is going to work. That one, right? Which you guys were going to say. Okay? So yeah, that's how I do it. I make a little table and just see what works, see what doesn't work. It doesn't matter if you put -7 first or -2 first. Doesn't matter. As long as you have a -7 and a -2, you're good. So the next step, parentheses, parentheses. So we're going to put those two numbers. Doesn't matter, order doesn't matter. You can put -7 first or you can put -2 first. It's okay. So what's going to go in front of them? So how do we know what's going to go in front? Well, what did we start? What was the biggest power that we started with? 2, right? The biggest power was 2. What's half of 2? 1, right? 1. So that means we get a power of 1 and a power of 1 there. If that power was a 4, if that biggest power there was a 4, let's say this was a 4, because later on it'll be a 4. That means we would put x squared and x squared. What if that power was a 6? Then we would put x3 and x3. You get it? You kind of like always half the power. Half goes on one side, half goes on the other. Okay? Okay. Now, this step I'm not sure if your teacher taught you last year, but I think it's the easiest way to do this. It's called bottoms up. Bottoms up. When do you do bottoms up? When you need to. So how do you do it? Divide by A. Divide them both by A. Those two numbers you came up with, divide them by A. Right? So divide that guy by A, divide this guy by A, divide that guy by A. The two numbers you came up with, divide them both by A. You can do them, I think Mr. Siegel, he has you do it early, like he has you do it like in here in the X, he has you divide them. I know because he showed me. Yates too, they have you divide them early. I divide them later. When do you divide them? It doesn't matter. As long as you divide by A. As long as you divide sometime, you divide it by A. I do it at the end. Like I said, some teachers do it in the X. They divide by 2, divide by 2. Okay? All right, so what do we do with that? Well, if you can divide, divide. So 2 and -2, I can divide, right? Makes -1, right? X minus 1. What happens when I get a 2 and a 7, though? Because if I can't, or I can, but it's going to be a decimal, right? Don't make it a decimal. That's when we do what's called bottoms up. Bottoms up means can't divide, so we move the guy on the bottom up by the X. And this guy goes away. So it's going to look like 2x minus 7. The only time we do that is when it doesn't divide. If it doesn't divide, do that. Okay? That's step 3. That's step 3. Step 4, difference of squares. Okay, so we're right here. We are right here now, right? Are any of those guys difference of squares? Do they have, so they both have binomials. They're both binomials with subtraction, right? Yeah, that rule, that condition is okay. Here's where they fail. Are their powers even? What power does x have here? 1, right? What power does x have here? A 1, right? A power of 1. Those are both even. Or sorry, those are both odd numbers. So they fail. So they're not difference of squares. We're done. We're done. Okay? Yeah, if a power is not written, it's always 1. It's always a 1, yeah. Okay? We didn't have to do the last step because it didn't say solve. All right. So number 1b and 1c, we're going to do the same way. 1b and 1c, we're going to use the same directions. Factor, steps 1 through 4. Okay. Step 1, is it in the correct order? Big power, middle power, little power? Yes. We'll say what? Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. So is it in the correct order? Big power, little power? No, they're kind of out of order, right? The first one needs to go last, and the last one needs to go first. Right? The big power is over here. The one with the littlest power is over here. Those need to be switched. that needs to go there, that needs to go there. So I got to rewrite it a little bit. So it should start negative x cubed. Middle guy was okay. Middle guy was in the middle. And then 12x. Do I put plus 12x or minus 12x? Plus, because it's positive, right? Yeah, positive means plus, negative means minus. Step 1 is done. Okay. Now we're over here. Step 2, GCF. The leading term needs to be positive. Well, look at the leading term. The guy in front is -1, right? So we can't have that. So I know I need to divide by -1 at least. Right? I want to divide by the biggest number possible. Well, -1, 4, and 12, -1 is the biggest number. Okay? How about x? Do they share? What's the most amount of x's I can take away from all three? 1, right? Yep, just 1. Because 12 only has 1 power. So that's my GCF. Rewrite it. -1 divided by -1 makes +1. If I take away 1 power, I get 1x2. -1 divided by +4 makes -4. If I take away a power, I get x. Right? Alberto, I got your focus up here. Okay. Nope, phone on the desk. Don't hide it. -1 divided by 12 is -12. A, B, and C. What are A? What are B? What are C? What's A? What's B? What's C? Oops, let me go sideways. So we're inside. Don't worry about the GCF. It just comes along for the ride. What's 1 is A, right? -4, -12. Okay. A times C, 1 times -12 is -12. B, -4. So again, X game. This is the mental math part. What are the two numbers that when I multiply make -12, but when I add them make -4? 2 and -6, right? Again, order doesn't matter. You could put -6 first and 2 second, as long as you have those two numbers. Don't switch them. I've seen students do that. Put -2 and +6. Don't do that, but you can switch the order. So again, if you want to do it now, if you want to divide by A now, do it. If you don't want to, if you want to wait till later, you can do it later. Okay, so I get, what do I get? -2 or +2, -6. Okay, so now what's going to go in front? X, yep, just an X. Okay, step 3 is done. Step 4, difference of squares. Are any of these guys difference of squares? 1 has a negative, a subtraction in the middle, right? -6 has a subtract, that's a -6, right? Are the powers even? Yep.
Wait, don't we do the bottoms up first?
Oh yeah, I forgot to do bottoms up. Sorry, yeah, thank you. I made the mistake I always talk about never doing. I made the same mistake. Bottoms up, right? X plus 2 and X minus 6. Okay? Important step. That time it didn't change anything, but the one time you miss it and forget to do it, that's when it's going to make a difference. So on 1A, it changed some things. On 1B, it didn't. We don't know when, we don't know, or we do, but always do the step. Okay, so difference of squares. Are any of these guys difference of squares? No, right? No, because no minus power of 1, not a power of 2, and 6 isn't even on my list over there of perfect squares. So that's the last step, since I don't have to do step 5, right? So I put that answer in Delta Math. Some of you guys did this yesterday, I saw, because you guys were like, what happened? I put that answer in Delta Math, and it says I'm wrong. Why?
You put it as one answer.
So I put it as one answer. It should be as one answer, one box. What's wrong with it? What's wrong with my answer? No GCF. There you go. Right? No GCF. No GCF. I got to put a GCF. GCF always, always, always goes in front. And I didn't do that. Okay. Alan, phone away. Turn it over. There you go. No, on your desk. Don't hide it. Don't put it in your pocket. Leave it on your desk. Just turn it over. There you go. Okay? Good. Okay. All right. 1C. 1C is the same directions. So again, I get this, Flores. Then go. You can go ahead. I don't mind you going ahead. Just don't go slower. Just don't go slower. Okay? Going faster is okay. If you get stuck, just wait. Okay, so trinomial. Step 1 for factoring says standard form. Does it go big power to middle power to little power? No, this one's the same as the last one, right? I have to move some things around. The first guy and the last guy need to switch. So it needs to be negative x4 plus 15x2 minus 54. That's the way it should have been, but it was out of order. So now it's fixed. Okay. Step 2, GCF. Well, the first guy is negative, so I at least need to divide by negative. How about x? Can I take away powers of x? No, because 54 doesn't have any x's to give. They all have to have something to give, and 54 doesn't have an x, so it's just going to be negative 1 for this guy. Negative divided by a negative makes a positive x4. Negative divided by a positive makes a negative 15x2. Negative divided by a negative makes a positive 54. Okay. All right. ABC. What is A? What is B? What is C? A is 1, negative 15, and 54. Good. Step 3, A times C, positive 54, and then negative 15, right? So what are the two numbers that multiply to be 54 and add up to be negative 15? Negative 9, negative 6. That part right there, coming up with these two numbers is the biggest, when I see students do these, is the biggest mistake I see. Or the biggest, Mr. Flores, can you help me during the test? And I'm like, sorry. That's the biggest part right here. So getting good at that is usually where the mistakes happen right there. Everything else, students are really good at. Okay, so just practicing that. That's why we do practice days. So we got 9, negative 6. Okay. So what goes in front of negative 9 and negative 6? Not x, x2, because there's a 4 up here, right? The power was 4. When we did ABC, the power was 4 now. So now we're going to half it, so it's going to be x2 and x2. And then GCF, don't forget about that guy. That guy needs to come down as well. And then I need to divide by A, right? Divide by A, divide by A. So it's going to be -1, x squared minus 9, x squared minus 6. Okay, step 3 is done. Step 4, difference of squares. Are any of the guys in parentheses difference of squares? Yes. This guy definitely, because he got a 1 in front. Power is even. Subtraction, 9 is on my list. How about this guy over here? Is that difference of squares? No, it's close, but this guy, 6 right here, isn't on my list of perfect squares. So it doesn't work. Okay? So this guy is going to break down into 2 smaller pieces. 1 plus, 1 minus. So half the power, half the power. Square root of 9, 3. 3 and 3. The rest of the guys come down because I didn't need to do difference of squares. Done. Step 4, I'm done. Okay, 1 box, just like that. Don't forget about the -1. If you don't put the -1, it'll say wrong. Okay? So like on a test, let's say you forget the -1. Let's say on the test you do everything right, but you forget the -1. That's like a 3 out of 4. You did everything right except the -1. Okay? So that's why you would get a 3 out of 4. If you want full credit, you got to remember that guy. So that's why we practice. All right, we got 2 more. The last 2 are going to say solve. So that's why we got to do these 2. Okay, that's why we got to do these 2. Or the last step, sorry. Everything else is the same. Nothing else is changing. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. You're done. Hmm? Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. All right. The equals 0. Don't worry about it. Doesn't change anything. Does not change anything. Okay. First step. Does it need to be moved around? Do things need to be switched? Yep. This guy and this guy, again, they need to be in different. This guy needs to be last. This guy needs to be first. So let's rewrite it. So -2x3 should be first. -2x2 should be second. And +4x should have been last. That's the correct way to write it. That was step 1. Okay. Step 2, GCF. So look at the numbers. -2, -2, +4. What's the biggest thing I can divide them all by? So can I divide them by anything other than -1? -2, right? They're all even, so I can divide them by -2, right? -2, and then x, right? Because they all have a power of x I can take away. Good. Okay, divide. -2 and -2 make +1. Take away a power, I get x2. -2 and -2 make +1, x, because I took away a power. -2 and +4 make -2. I took away 2 powers, I got none left. Okay. A, B, C. What is A? What is B? What is C?
These are one, B's a one, C's a two.
Yep, 1, 1, and 2. Negative 2, sorry. Okay. A times C is negative 2. B is positive 1. Well, there's not a lot of things that multiply to be negative 2. The list is short. The only things you can multiply to make negative 2 are negative 2 and 1 and negative 1 and 2. That's it. So when I add them together, they have to make positive 1, right? So that's got to be it right there. Okay, so negative 1, positive 2, x and x, divide by a, don't forget to bring down your GCF. Difference of squares, are any of them difference of squares? No. The one in the middle, x minus 1, is close, but it doesn't have the right power. It only has a power of 1. So this one said solve, so we got to do the last step, which we did yesterday. You did the last step yesterday. Right? Set them all equal to 0. All the GCF and the two guys in parentheses. So negative 2 equals 0. X minus 1 equals 0. X plus 2 equals 0. Okay. So divide by negative 2. X equals 0, because 0 divided by negative 2 is 0. Add 1 to both sides. Subtract 2 from both sides. Three boxes, because you have 3 answers. 1 box for each. Okay, that's the difference between adding or factoring and solving. You got that extra step. Okay. All right, so I want you to try the last one on your own. I'll do it with you, but I want you to try it. If you haven't started already, try it on your own. If you get to a point where you're like, I'm stuck, what do I do? Then wait for me. Okay? Wait for me. Start with the first step. Is it in the correct order? If it's not, fix it. If it is in the correct order, leave it. Then GCF. Does it start with a negative? If it starts with a negative, what are all the numbers? What are the numbers I can divide by? Correct order? Yes. What's the GCF? Yes, sir.
Negative 5x squared.
Yep. Negative 5, because negative 25, 55, and negative 30, you can divide them all by 5. Negative, because the first guy's got to be positive. And then they can all give 2 powers, right? Right? They can all give 2 powers. Reduce them. Negative 5 goes into 25 5 times. If I take away 2 powers, it's got 2 powers left. Negative 5 goes into 55 negative 11 times. If I take away 2 powers, it only has 1. Negative 5 goes into negative 30 positive 6 times. I got no more powers to go. Okay. A, B, and C. I need to know what A is. I need to know what B is. I need to know what C is. A is 5. Negative 11 is B, and 6 is C. A times C is 30. B is negative 11. What two numbers multiply are going to multiply to make 30 and add to be negative 11?
Negative 5 and negative 8.
Close. Negative 6. Negative, you were there. Okay. Negative 5, negative 6. Since it was x squared, I just go x and x. GCF's got to come in front. Bottoms up. A is negative, or A is 5, so I got to divide them both by 5. Whoops. X minus 1, because 5 goes in the negative 5 one time, and it's negative. 5 into 6, it doesn't work. 5 into 6 doesn't work, so bottoms up. Move that guy up here, so you get 5x minus 6. Step 3 done. Step 4, difference of squares. In parentheses, are any of these guys difference of squares? No, they don't have a big enough power. They need even powers. This guy's got a power of 1, this guy's got a power of 1. So they don't have enough powers. Okay, last step, set them all equal to 0. And get your answers. Oops, equals 0. That's the only time the equals 0 comes into play, is at the end when you need to set it equal to 0. Why do you set it equal to 0? Because there was, I didn't write it down, I should have, but there was equals 0 the whole time, right? That's why. Okay. Divide by negative 5, divide by negative 5. X squared equals 0. X squared means something times itself. A number times itself. 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times 3. What number times itself makes 0? 0. Add 1 to both sides. Add 6 to both sides. Divide by 6. Reduce it if you can, but reduce does not mean change it to a decimal. Everyone thinks, oh, reduce means change it to a decimal. Nope, reduce just means make it smaller if you can. If you can't, leave it. 6 over 5, that's as small as you can do it. Okay? 3 answers, 3 boxes. All right, tomorrow we'll do some practice. Friday we're going to do a stations like we did on last Friday, except they'll be about factoring and solving. It's a good way to review to make sure we're good before next week. And then next week we have another lesson on Monday, and then we have a quiz. So we have a quiz week from tomorrow. Okay, week from tomorrow we have a quiz. Okay? All right, that's it.